Here is another experiment for you. All you have to do is to think of a 2-digit number. Just any 2-digit number. Got one? Okay, then once again I will try to read your mind. Well, I'm getting something. I'm getting it 2, maybe 22 or something like this, 22, 21 or 23. Yeah, it's quite difficult. But yes, something like that. Well, if this was your number, don't freak out, don't begin to believe in telepathy. What happened right now is just pure statistics because I'm relying on a survey with about 350 people and about 1/3 choose the number 22, 21 or 23, which is quite impressive if you think about how many 2-digit numbers are out there. But it's not only statistics, it's also psychology. And the effect that's probably playing a role here, again, is priming. When I said think of a 2-digit number, guess which neurons for which number were a little bit pre-activated? Well, of course, the neurons for the number 2. Priming is a very fascinating phenomenon. It builds a little bit on what we heard in the first part of this episode. There are almost endless connections between neurons in our brain, but some neurons for some concepts are more closely connected. And as we heard in the first part of the episode, the neurons of the number 3 are probably more closely connected to the neurons of the number 4 than, for example, to the neurons of the number 11, for example. And priming is also the reason why, if I tell you, just think of a tool. Which tool comes to mind first? Well, maybe a hammer. And if I ask you now, which color does this hammer have? Which color comes to mind first? Which is it? Well, most people say red. Even though usually if people are asked, well, think of a color, usually most people think of the color blue. But in connection with the hammer, blue doesn't make that much sense. Red is the more aggressive color. Maybe it's also the color of blood that can occur when you hit the hammer on your finger. But let's go back to our mind reading experiment. When I say think of a 2-digit number, I'm actually priming the number 2. And that this is the case could also be shown in a study by Kubovi, published in 1977 in the Journal of Experimental Psychology, Human Perception and Performance. In this study, all in all, they had 306 participants, and one group was asked to write down the first 4-digit number that comes to mind. When they used this wording, when they said think of a 4-digit number, the number 4 was actually quite frequently the first number of this 4-digit number. It was named as the first number by about 27% of the participants. But when they used a different wording, when they said please write down the first number between 1000 and 9999 that comes to mind, which in fact has exactly the same meaning, you still have to create a 4-digit number. But with this wording, the number 4 was named as the first number by about only 4% of the participants. The number that was now most frequently the first number of the 4-digit number was the 1. And maybe the reason is that they said, think of the first number between 1000 and 9999. So the 1 in a way was primed twice by saying the first number and by saying 1000. I have to say I really love this kind of priming experiments because they remind us how connected everything in our brain is, and that many decisions that we think are quite free will decisions or random decisions are really strongly influenced by their context. But again, the good thing is, as soon as we know of these effects, we can get back a little bit of our free will, and we can say, and maybe some of you who heard previous episodes of this podcast became already quite suspicious when I said think of a 2-digit number, and maybe you then said no, I will not choose a number with a 2, and maybe you then chose a number with a 7, for example. Did you choose a number with a 7? Well, I'm just saying that because many people have a preference for the 7 when they are asked to think of a random number. However, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you want, we will see you next time.